like and subscribe. Now, what's one thing you're always willing to pay the extra price for? Motorcycle helmets. You don't need the most expensive helmet, but you should pay what it takes to get something with a decent certification. SNELL*, EATS, FIM, and not just DOT. Some technologies like MIPS are also well worth the extra spend. Maybe. Everyone made fun of me when I got my Shoei helmet because of the cost and them saying I don't need it and that I was paying for equipment that was made for racing. Sure enough, a lady pulled out in front of me and I ended up in her backseat. Helmet saved my brain from going mashed potatoes. All my friends have Shoei helmets now. That's the thing about safety equipment. You only need it work once. But man, you really need it to work. That one time, I was a motorcycle journalist and tester in the UK for magazines. I got invited to Amsterdam to visit Ares European research and testing location and to see how the helmets are made, tested and improved. I've personally taken an Ares helmet shell with nothing inside and jumped up and down on it sideways and top to bottom. It didn't crack or crush. They also took an Ares helmet and dropped it 3 times one after the other onto a metal ball with a head weight inside it and lots of G sensors. 3 times that helmet fell 3 meters onto a metal ball and absorbed enough energy to make it a very survivable impact. So did the cheap alternative helmets they let us test it on. The first time, at some angles, I used to buy and then choose to test, free in return for coverage, Ares and Shoei helmets. After that experience, I'd seen firsthand why you pay the extra for a good crash helmet. In my experience, Ares, Shoei, Shark, BMW, Kaberg and Narland/X-Lite are among the only ones I'll either trust to wear or recommend. Sure enough, a lady pulled out in front of me and I ended up in her backseat. And good leathers. Dress for the slide, not the ride. Anything I'll use for years, like computer or clothes. A good mattress. I agree, my dad always said look after your mattress and your footwear because you spend most of your life in both. Stop, turn back. Countless others have lost their sanity looking for the perfect mattress. It can happen to you too. You will not find it. Buy one that fits your budget and move on. Do not go to /r/mattress, please. Like computer, it's not obvious. Lots of people don't realize this. If you buy a nice computer, like a gaming computer, and you buy a separate monitor for it, go the extra mile and get a good monitor. Why? Monitors usually last, if you take care of them, for 2 to 3 actual computers' lifetimes. You may replace your computer every couple years, or even after 5 to 6 years, but your monitor you'll probably use for a decade, especially if it's a really nice one. I paid as much for my current monitor as the entire gaming computer behind it. I've had it for about 5 years, and will probably keep it another decade. My mom still uses a 40-inch TV I bought over a decade ago, and that thing has 0 dead pixels. I'm still amazed by it. Toshiba. Winter tires or tires in general. Tires are so underrated. They will make an older normal car feel like it's newer and safer to drive and handle on the road. It won't make it feel nicer inside, but going around a corner, stopping quickly, and taking off from a stop on shitty roads will be so much better. Work boots. Footwear in general. I'm always willing to pay a bit extra to get better quality footwear that's comfortable and has a good, grippy sole. 100%. Once you've had to lay out of work and lose more money than good boots would have cost in the first place, you don't make that mistake again. Cheap boots are fine for dicking around, but you need to pony up if you're trying to really get into some things. I buy $200 work boots that last me about 2 comfortable years, whereas my dad used to buy cheap $50-80 boots that would only last 6 months before it's busted up. Not only that, his feet are covered in thick and hard calluses that cause him constant pain, while my feet are still soft. Thankfully his working years are over because I never got my point across to him to spend more on quality work boots. Currently sitting in the airport for an egregiously complicated overnight layover, or to save $80. I'll always pay the extra $80 moving forward. Why complicated? I flew out of an airport that I had to take a Greyhound bus to, instead of the local one. That bus left at 5 AM, and my flight wasn't until 1 PM. My itinerary is Oregon, Wisconsin, but they decided to have me overnight in Dallas for God knows what reason. I have a tough time sleeping on planes and in airports, so I'm effectively spending 2 whole days traveling and 0 of those hours sleeping. If I had paid a little more, I would have had a single day trip from the local airport without starting at an obnoxiously early hour and without flying south, only to fly back north. Direct flights instead of cheaper ones with layovers, connections, or stops. Why take a 90-minute flight when you can save $30 and make it an all-day adventure? I used to be fairly hardcore about getting the best deals, but I've grown out of it for the most part. I will say there are some exceptions. For example, I booked a one-way from Denver to San Salvador, intending to fly home in northern Mexico for $100. I had a red-eye from Denver to Fort Lauderdale, and then an 8-hour layover before my next leg to San Salvador on Spirit. Not the most comfortable sleeping in the airport, but manageable. The best option was flying United via Houston, but it was an absurd $500-600 for a one-way ticket. That being said, especially with international flights, if you're willing to tough out some bullshit tier airlines, you can often save hundreds of dollars, which is a big deal for lower earners like me. A good plumber. Water damage effing sucks. Crafts and tradespeople in general. Thank you. I know there are guys flying under the radar and doing cut corner jobs, but there are those who care and appreciate not being haggled down when being compared to the former. We had an issue in our house where the pipes would occasionally do a loud bang and then no hot water for 20 minutes to 4 hours until another bang, and it came back. We called the water heater guy, as that's what I figured was wrong. He walked in, looked at our water heater and said, "Nope, not the water heater. I can tell from here that it's fine. That is some other issue. Best you call a plumber." Called one plumber who wasn't sure, but replaced a valve that was a bit leaky and hoped for the best. Didn't help. Called a second plumber, and I was able to recreate the issue with him. He said that's got to be the hot water tank, probably a valve issue. Called the water tank guys back. New guy came out. I explained it, and without even looking at the tank, he told me what's wrong and what he had to do to fix it. Fixed a bad valve, and we never had an issue since. First guy should be fired. His cocky attitude cost me 2 plumbers. Last guy I had around took my coins, disappeared down the pipe, and was never seen again. Next time we'll go with an own firm, not some low-rent family outfit. I recommend having some pet lizards and turtles as a safety measure. A really good quality winter coat or jacket. To me, it's definitely worth the investment if you live in a country that gets cold winters. Here in Ireland it doesn't snow much in winter due to us being a small island, but we get very cold winters and very wet ones, so you get really cold rain. Paying extra for a really good quality, warm and waterproof coat makes such a difference if you're out and about a lot, like I am. It pays for itself because it can last you years. I'm due a new one this year. Got 5 years out of my last one, and it's still good, but I've lost a significant amount of weight this past year and it's much too big for me now. Funny thing is, for me, 18 years ago I walked into a thrift surplus store and purchased a legitimate wool Swiss Army surplus trench coat and still use it regularly in the winter. It's warm as hell, has a few rips, but holds up really well for the age, and although it can get heavy if it gets really wet, doesn't really absorb moisture well, so even in terrible winter storms I stay dry. I don't think I could use any other coat at this point. I've had it over half my life and used it every single winter since I bought it, and the funny part is, I paid $13 for it. I work at a thrift store. We basically have infinite coats. Everyone is guaranteed to find one that suits them, and they're all incredibly cheap. I picked up a Connor jacket for $15. I later went into a Connor store and found the same jacket on sale for over $100. Movers. Having them put your furniture in a truck, drive it to your location, and put it in your new place. It's great not having a sore back when it's stressful enough to move. Oh yes, definitely. I moved to a building, 7th floor, no elevator. Told my girlfriend I'm not moving by myself, so we got a van and 2 movers. All we had to do is be there. I helped of course with the carrying, but within an hour we were done. Everything was in our apartment. Gave them a super nice tip which they loved, and I felt good afterwards knowing I didn't have to break my back or worry about 5 to 6 trips myself. I live in Mexico. The national cinema chain, Cinepolis often has 2 whole movie houses in each location. One is your standard, run-of-the-mill movie theater with 30 rows of stadium seating, while the other theater is Cinepolis VIP, which features reclining leather seats, USB charging ports, heated seats, around 30 seats total, and table service, food, and alcohol. Reminds me of Alamo Drafthouse cinemas in the USA, but these are nicer in my opinion. Husband and I always pay the extra pesos for the VIP theater for comfort. Plus there are rarely issues with other patrons who also pay for the VIP theater. Quiet people who really want to see the movie and won't be chatting or constantly getting out of their seats through the entire movie. The price difference between the 2 theaters really isn't that much, so it's a small thing we always pay for. Heated seats. I think I might get too comfortable and sleep through the movie. Lol. Good pots and pans, like real heavy duty stuff. I've got some pretty decent stainless steel, but by far my favorites are always my Le Creuset stuff. I only have 4 pieces and I always found them on sale. I just make jambalaya in my Dutch oven last night. She was tasty. Tools, if you are earning a living with them, you want something totally reliable and is not going to break and work properly every time. They say a cheap man pays twice as much in the long run. I bought up a set of Ryobi power tools for work, and for DIY at home they are pretty good. But, when I was on site, and found the batteries take 3 hours to charge, I don't have that kind of time. Also the hammer drill didn't always hammer. I'm a Milwaukee boy now, and I'm completely satisfied. TLDR. Always buy the best that you can afford. My brother has the best advice for tools. From a homeowner perspective, the first time you need a tool, get the cheap Harbor Freight tool. When it breaks, then go buy a good one. Headphones. Never going back to anything cheap. My sister was blown away when she tried out my setup by how nice the sound was. My headphones, although perfectly fits my needs, aren't actually too great compared to many others that could be bought. My sister has been using the earbuds that came with her phone for a long time and she never knew what she was missing out on. I got Sony WH-1000XM4 and discovered I like music outlet. I got the XM3 when it was new and I was deployed. I definitely slept through an incoming alarm with those on. They also mostly blocked the noise of F-16s taking off right next to my little bunker. 10/10ths would unknowingly get rocket attacked again. Hobby supplies. Every hobby I've ever tried has some real dog entry level gear that most people either buy and grow out of really fast or don't realize their potential particularly quickly and lose interest. However, if you buy/rent quality mid-tier stuff to start out, you end up with a much better experience overall and progress much faster and get a truer reflection of the hobby. This is true for musical instruments, archery, longboarding, sailing, fishing, painting, brewing, gaming. The difference between student grade paints and artist grade paints literally makes 2 different pieces look like they are done by different artists. Running shoes. If you serious about running, pay for best shoe because your knee's going to thank you. Tattoos from an artist that knows what they are doing. My niece just turned 18. Said she was going to get a tattoo tomorrow. I said really? Where? She said she didn't know. Anywhere she could get it done that same day. I say pretty much anywhere you go where you can get the tattoo you want the same day isn't going to give you one you'll be really happy with. She says she doesn't care, just really wants one. I say you'll have it forever. What's a few days? Then I said I'll tell you what. Why don't you look through the tons of artists in the city's books and find one whose work you really love? I'll take you, and I'll even pay for you to get it as a birthday present. Then she said no, that's fine, she's already waited long enough. Guess who has a mediocre tattoo of a very standard design on her forearm now? My glasses. I have one lens that's Coke bottle in size, and if I don't go for basically all of the features and a good frame, they are going to be uncomfortable as F for the 2 years until my insurance helps pay for another pair. My time. I used to always try to save money while traveling until I realized I was wasting hours and adding stress to my life. Sure, the bus is $100 cheaper, but it's 3 hours longer, doesn't leave when or from where you want, and is a miserable ride. Pay for the flight. I've seen this shift with little things to splurging for an Uber. If it's make my trip simpler or even paying to have something done in my apartment building. We have laundry and cleaning services if I'm stressing about getting it done. It's nice to save money, but not at the cost of being a miserable ball of stress. Electronics. It's better to pay 50 more bucks than it to break the next day. Toilet paper. Nothing worse than cheap toilet paper. Cheap toilet paper lets you get in touch with your inner self. *MAKESU. Holidays or short adventures with friends. Always go for the cheap room at the nice hotel than the expensive room at a bad hotel. If you are going to the beach or other vacation destination, splurge for the cheapest room in the best hotel. Many times the hotel is the actual destination, and amenities are the same for all guests. If you are going to a foreign city or tourist spot, is the rule of real estate. Location, location, location. Staying where the action is makes all the difference. The first time I went to Paris, I stayed in a cheap hotel in the outskirts. It took 30 minutes of subway to get to Notre Dame. Last time, I stayed in a small hotel. My room barely fit a double bed, just across Notre Dame, 1 block from Chatelet subway station. It was a completely different experience. For starters, you never leave the magic sensation of the place. Next, you can use your hotel as a center of operations. Need to go to the bathroom? A quick nap/rest in the middle of the day. Quick shower, change of clothes. Recharge phones. Forgot something? Everything is a convenient stop away, and the trip is so much better. You can start your day earlier and finish it later without draining yourself, and you don't spend hours in transportation. Same with Disney. Always stay on site. Now I always plan my trips checking the places I will go, then choose an hotel right in the middle of it all, and pay for the cheapest room there, after checking for cleanliness/safety. In Las Vegas, the Travelodge has a great location/price, but that place is nasty. Better stay at Flamingo/Bally's. Very cheap, right in front of the Bellagio fountains at the center of the strip. I should not. Had a short trip once. Learned that a journey is all about the friend that you bring. You bring shy friend, you get a shy holiday. Brought a somewhat stingy friend. Everything is monetary for him, even the basic stuff, and always picky even when it's slightly higher price. Instead of riding the cable car, decided to hike instead. Not even halfway, and we all already out of breath and cancel the hike. Wanna eat tasty food, but don't wanna pay a cent higher. So we went to a local restaurant with not even a proper lighting. We ate outside under gloomy moonlight, with smoke from the grill. Blew to our face. Wanna go shopping? Buddy check. And compare every item with online prices. Even a single cent higher will not buy it. He went out of the mall empty-handed. I went on a trip with a friend who complained about everything I wanted to do, but didn't offer any ideas or suggestions. It really changed our friendship moving forward. I have a friend like this. He makes traveling so annoying and stressful. We all went to Ramiro in Lisbon, a great seafood restaurant, and he went to McDonald's instead. In the week we were there, he probably had like 3 meals that weren't from McDonald's. We are visiting a friend soon, and I booked a hotel room after asking him if he wants to split it. Then 3 days before the trip he lets me know he's staying at a hostel instead, since it's cheaper. It's a 30-minute drive from where my friend lives and where I'm staying. Sushi. I quit sushi for over a year because I got food poisoning from bad sushi. The night of my stomach felt weird but nothing crazy. The next morning I'm playing with my son and I just start gently shitting my pants. There was no urge or indication I had to go. I just started shitting in the same way my heart beats, an uncontrollable autonomous bodily function. No respite, no warnings, just shitting. This was most likely not food poisoning, but rather due to eating too much of what sushi restaurants often call super white tuna escala. The escala's wax ester content can cause Kyriarchia, Greek, flow of wax, Gimpilatoxism or Gimpilid fish poisoning. 6. Symptoms range from stomach cramps to rapid loose bowel movements, occurring 30 minutes to 36 hours following consumption. 7. This condition may also be referred to as steatorrhea. 2 known ways to reduce the likelihood of escalar-induced Kyriarchia are to limit portions to 170 grams, 6 ounces, or less, 8, and to consume portions close to the tail, which typically have a lower wax ester content. Reports conflict on whether deep skinning, freezing or grilling will reduce the likelihood of Kyriarchia. Thanks for sharing. I once had sushi in the Bahamas. It was so good that I now think eating it was a mistake. It's been 2 years and I've been chasing that dragon ever since. No other sushi compares. I went to Otsukaji in Japan and had fresh sushi that was cut off the tuna a couple hours before. Nothing has compared to me since. On a similar vein, no ramen places compare anywhere in the world with Japan basic ramen shops. I would absolutely eat through Japan again. This is super underrated, but most people don't realize how much of a difference in quality you get when you pay that little extra amount for sushi. As a lady with rather generously sized boobs, I'm accustomed and happy to pay through the nose for a really good bra. The difference it can make to my day is worth every penny. /r/abra fat fits and /r/big boob problems for any others out there. Can I just add? A stretchy, comfy, compressing, shapeless sports bra that is not crossed over or a surbac can be miles more comfortable than the most expensive, well-fitting wired bra if you're out of proportion. As a 10G, 32G, I suffered for close to a decade with dozens of excessively expensive, expertly fitted, brand name bras. Ditching the cups and wires for something flexible and supportive was life-changing. Do you happen to have links to the sports bras you're talking about? I ditched underwire a long time ago, but I still have a hard time finding comfortable, supportive bras. Quality headphones. I cannot stand having bad or cheap quality headphones that either break all the time or sound terrible. Good ice cream. I actually have an ice cream machine. Got it as a Christmas gift and it's easily my most used kitchen appliance now. Holy crap, making it homemade is so good, and you can make any flavor you want. So I DK if it's cheaper than fancy brand ice cream or not, since you buy your own cream and sugar, but that marginally more effort is so worth it to me now. It might not be cheaper, but it's 1000 times better than store-bought ice cream. Work shoes and bed. When you're not in one, you're in the other. Uncomfortable sleep and your uncomfortable feet can make for a long grueling day. Add office chairs to that list in case you are able to work in home office. A safe car. Condoms. Condoms are expensive compared to what? A baby or a STI. Treatment for chlamydia is also expensive. Waffle cone. You get about an extra half scoop of ice cream and it's 10x better. Worth every penny. Maple syrup. We get our maple syrup from a WWII veteran in his mid-90s. He taps maple trees in the hearts of everyone who knows him. He lives in a small cabin on the way to my lake house in the rural north. He is known among people as the best maple syrup guy. It's his passion in life to cultivate maple syrup and maple products. He's been doing it since the 1950s. Last time I was there, he'd recently had a quadruple bypass. Showed us the scar. He was like, I thought I was a goner, but I guess it wasn't my time yet. He's also refused to be a sellout and does it for love. It is expensive, but still about 1/2 of the cost of buying pure maple from a specialty store. He also has a box where, if he's not around, you can just take the product and leave cash or a check, and trusts people not to rip him off. That was a tangent, but he is so cool I couldn't help it. Update. After I posted this, I called my mom and asked about him. He passed recently. He was close to 100. He knew he had a bad heart. Last December, one day he didn't come inside at dinner time. His wife found him in his maple syrup processing barn, laying there, but his wife and son are trying to make it again. There is also a beautiful memorial for him. Interesting thing about trusting people to pay. Some economists did a study looking into people who have payment methods like that. One person sold bagels to an office, another sold fish, etc. And they found that almost nobody tried to rip them off, because people individually realized that if everyone else collectively decided not to pay, then the service would no longer be provided. Quality computer/components. I have seen so many people buy your basic home computer for internet/word programs, but are shocked when it can't run their kid's newest game on the best settings. I hear a lot of, but it's brand new working retail computer components. I feel like I usually see the reverse of this. People spending thousands on a computer when all they use it for is browsing the internet. Decent shoes. Wear Uggs or drapes if you have to, but never skimp on your shoes. Trust a 50-year-old who learned the hard way. Your feet will thank you. Keeping the central air in my house at a comfortable temp. I despise being hot while sleeping. Good customer service. I've paid more for the same product just because I want to be treated like a person. Good toilet paper. A haircut. Average hairstylists always F up my hair and it's always such a risk. Might depend on your hair. As a dude with regular hair, the cheap Iranian dude around the corner cuts it absolutely fine. Went to a barber who was more than twice as expensive a while ago, and it was not better. I just cut my own hair now. It's free and it looks like I want it to look about 90% of the time. I'll give myself a tie haircut every once in a while, but typically my hair looks fine. I got tired of people effing up my curly hair. I almost always had a bad haircut because for some bizarre reason people in cosmetology school aren't taught how to cut textured or curly hair. I did some research, bought a decent set of clippers and hacked away. It actually ended up not being half bad, but then I got better. I'm very happy with my hair now. Cutting my own hair also really came in handy when COVID struck and closed down all the salons and barber shops in California for a year. I was always well groomed throughout lockdown. I don't want to ever pay for another haircut again. Kindness. I'll always choose a place with kind workers over any other that may be cheaper, especially if it's small business.